Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. So I first saw this report, I was reading it, and I thought, wow, isn't this just typical of a government that seems to think that, well, you know, all these things happened during the great pandemic period, and we require blood from the people. But when it comes to government obligations, we'll just flat out refuse. Now, funny enough, I do agree. I don't think we'll get into the story, and I do agree with what the Queensland government are saying. I just wish there was this much room for negotiation given to the people as what's given to the government. You know, the government's just said, nah, we're not going to pay our bill. New South Wales say we owe you all this money. We say otherwise. We don't care. I just wish the public could do exactly what these fellas are doing. And there's several stories that I'm going to bring up. Okay, so the first one just came out today. The second story, talking about getting money out of the public, came out in December of 2024, where the government, they're considering not chasing down people who owe debts, due to fines that were handed out during the great pandemic. Anyway, so let's check out this first story together. So like I said, this story came out today. COVID-19 Queensland. David Janetsky refuses to pay New South Wales quarantine bill. There he is there, David Janetsky. So a long disputed 105 million hotel quarantine bill New South Wales has invoiced Queensland won't be paid by Treasurer David Janetsky. Janetsky wrote to his New South Wales counterpart, Daniel Mookhey, to reject his request for reimbursement of mandatory hotel quarantine services during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Mookhey last month sought payment from the Queensland government for Queenslanders who had returned from overseas and undertaken quarantine in New South Wales hotels. Janetsky, in response, said Queensland would not be paying the bill. Like I said, I just wish the general public could just turn around and say, nah, screw you, government. We're not just paying. We're just not going to do it. And just walk away. Anyway, so the COVID-19 pandemic was a difficult time for all Australians. Well, it's nice of them to recognise that. Because at the time, it felt very much like the government was saying, screw you, Australians, do what we say. And it was important for all governments to assist. Now it's assistance. Back then it was bang. You will do what we say, because it was strong arming. Now it was just assisting. For all governments to assist Australians seeking to return home from overseas, he said. All that assistance, don't you love it? Queensland was pleased to offer hotel quarantine services to international arrivals regardless of whether their usual residence was in New South Wales or any other part of Australia. They were pleased to offer it. I wonder if there was several stories, but one that comes to mind, a chap that had to return to Australia was returning to Australia because of his dying parent. Okay, dying parent. He was kept in quarantine. Could not go see his dying parent. Said parent passes away alone because they also couldn't have any other family go around to visit. He doesn't get to see, but this is all just done to assist. All just the goodness of our flipping hearts. The government just assisting us. Screw you and your dying parents. We're assisting you. Says, I am advised the National Cabinet considered this matter several times in 2020 but did not agree to a system of reconciling hotel quarantine costs or to issue a direction that would provide a pathway for jurisdictions to do so. I understand that Queensland has also advised on a number of previous occasions that it will not be providing reimbursement. Fair enough. Janetsky noted the Commonwealth, this is important, This is why I actually agree that Queensland shouldn't be. So I don't understand how where New South Wales gets off actually actually asking for the money. But look at this. Janetsky noted the Commonwealth Grant Commission's 2025 review considered COVID-19 expenses when it handed an extra 650 million to New South Wales through GST redistribution and docked 800 million from Queensland. It's all about the money, people. All about the money. Under these circumstances, the Queensland government does not accept the request for reimbursement and considers the issue as finalised. Like I said, I just wish the public could just turn around and say it. So, and this is what gets me to the next story. This came out Courier Mail as well. This was at the very end of last year. Called to ditch 3.2 million in Queensland COVID-19 fines, the great pandemic fines. So what did they say? Oh, the government will consider. It's going to consider. I still haven't heard whether it's actually happened yet or not. This is, like I said, December. What are we now? We're only in May, so who knows? I haven't checked it out. But they're just, at this time, they're just considering it. It's just, can't do things too quickly. Considering waiving $3.2 million of outstanding COVID fines, it follows calls from Qat's Australia Party MP Nick Demetto for the government to waive the remaining 2,075 COVID-19 related infringements, which are still being prosecuted by debt collectors, the State Penalties Enforcement Registry, so SPUR, 3 years on from the plan. Mr. Demetto also demanded the state refund anyone who paid a fine. You know, thank the good Lord, we actually have a few people out there who actually stand up for the people. Oh, the Qd Party, whatever you think of old Mr. Qd, but the party, the people actually stand up, and see a little bit of common sense in some things. So he reckons refund everyone. Obliged on Monday, remember this was in December, said the government was considering all options. So asked whether that included refunding paid or partially paid COVID fines, Blige said he would seek more information on what had been implemented in New South Wales. Oh, so now we want to talk to New South Wales and see what they did. Screw them on paying back the money they say we owe, but hey, I've asked for more information on that. Briefing options going forward to consider the options for where we go with that, he said. It's interesting, a lot of literature and studies are coming back about how the pandemic was handled. A lot of red flags saying things could have been done better. There were thousands of fines handed out across Queensland, and if the government wants to start righting some of the wrongs of that period where the government was in control, a good place to start may be reimbursing some of those fines. Demetto said public health messaging during the plan was as muddy as it could be. The Premier would make her address about 10 a.m. and it would take hours for departures to catch up with what was said during press conferences. When he says her, he's talking obviously about that female that used to be in charge of the state, Palaszczuk. The New South Wales Commissioner of Fines Administration in November 2024 revealed the New South Wales government would withdraw all remaining 23,539 COVID-19 penalty notices after receiving legal representations. It's funny, the Queensland government, we want to check out what New South Wales did. In the same article, they tell you what New South Wales government did. So some 5.5 million would also be refunded to people who made full or partial payment of the COVID-19 fine. That's because a lot of them were illegal. That's why. Let's not pretend like they're doing some great piece of justice, handing out justice. They were handing out injustice with the fines. They were doing things, in some cases, were actually illegal. But hey, let's not talk about that. New South Wales withdrew an additional 36,000 penalty notices in 2022. Anyway, we'll go down. Queensland state and local government agencies and the courts are responsible for issuing and withdrawing fines and for ensuring the validity of infringement notices. In 2020, anyone breaching a public health direction, including by breaching border restrictions, travel bans, holding a large gathering, or failing to wear a mask, faced an on-the-spot fine of $1,378, while businesses faced fines of up to $7,100. But hey, like the Queensland government did with New South Wales has done, can can the public just turn around and say, no, screw you, Queensland government, we just don't want to pay it. Anyway, this brings me to the last article. This came out just in March. It's an opinion piece, again, Courier Mail, where titled COVID, where is it? COVID era leaders doing very nicely while we pay the price. There she is. Remember, Palaszczuk. In my opinion, anyway, won't go on my opinion. What were you doing 5 years ago? Peering through the windows at empty streets. Anyway, let's look at what they're actually doing because it goes through. They're gone now. The mini dictators who ruled by decree. West Australians Mark McGowan departed with his taxpayer funded superannuation under his arm. Remember this? How he said, oh, burnt out, can't possibly go on. I've heard it from from someone who knows that he was actually tapped on the shoulder by some very powerful people, not politicians, business people, that he needs to go. So yeah, burnout, schmurnout. And I would trust the source. Just saying. Staging a miraculous, so he said, got to go. I'm burnt out. And it was very, very sudden. Um, and then very quickly, he staged a miraculous recovery, landed jobs with BHP and mineral resources within weeks. So burnout, all I needed, in reality, all I needed was a little holiday. That's all I needed. I'm not burnt out. Victoria's Daniel Andrews, he grabbed his payout and went in search of a golf club. You remember, I mean, Victoria's like in debt, way up past its head, over the top. It's drowning in debt. And Queensland's well on its way as well. But Victoria, absolutely screwed over by Daniel Andrews and his cohort of, his little dictatorship there, leadership group. And they're still in power, but whatever. He took his money, said, screw yous all in debt, yous are all screwed, I'm out. And he's on his way. What's it say? He grabbed his payout, went in search of a golf club, which would accept him as a member. No easy task, with the stench surrounding his premiership preceding him like a dark miasma. Our very own Anastasia Palaszczuk, dragged kicking and screaming from the premier's office, is now on the corporate speaking circuit and threatening to write a book. But her legacy being the shambles which surround her ego-driven bid for Brisbane to host the Olympic and Paralympic Games. They're all doing very nicely. These leaders who saw a political advantage on playing the tough guy and creating an atmosphere of fear and intimidation which threatened any whisper of protest with the jackboot of harsh repression. The tragedy is that we are all still paying the price. 500,000, this is going by statistics that they're saying about education, the education system at the moment. 500,000 children are regularly skipping school, and an estimated 80,000 kids have disappeared from the education system, both of which are seen as long-term impacts of lockdowns. So look, all of this to say that, as typical, now I understand the current government here in Queensland was not in charge. Obviously, Palaszczuk and the Labor government were in charge back when the pandemic was happening. However, there is still a large number of bureaucrats. The bureaucrats who were the ones pushing for these decisions to be made, recommending. We still don't know all these recommendations that would come out in the morning and all these so-called secret medical recommendations. The science tells us this. No one ever backed up a lot of the claims that would come out. The premiers would stand up, say, well, this is what the science says. This is what we now know. It was all secret. We can't tell you exactly how we know this. It's all secret. It all came from bureaucrats and so-called statistics that they were a hold of. Years later, we still haven't been told where. We still haven't been led into the inner circle to know where all these statistics came from, what all this secret information was that they led them to make all these decisions on lockdowns, on where we can and can't go, why bottle shops, sex shops, what else was open? Bottle shops, sex shops, and massage places. They're open. Massage place. Was it a massage? Sorry, because I'm just thinking. I remember when I was living, because I was still in the police, obviously, and I was living in Brisbane. I'm driving down the main road, the suburb I was living in, and I noticed around the corner. So the gym I went to, the boxing gym I went to, that was closed down. They couldn't open up. But 2 doors up, there was a sex shop. They sold sex toys and all this kind of thing. They were open. I thought, okay, that's pretty strange. I'm not sure why the gym and the little barber shop next to it, they had to shut, but the sex shop, they can be open. And then on the other side, there was a bottle shop. They were allowed to be open, but St. Vinny's, who were just 2 doors up from the bottle shop, shut. We can't have a shop that's trying to help the community. Can't have them open. But the bottle shop and the sex shop, they're open. So there's still no answers to how they came about making any of these decisions, who was making all these recommendations, the information they were basing all these calls upon, which is the reason why they came up with all these fines. We still don't have any true answers. Nothing. No one has ever been held accountable. People like Palaszczuk are just out making a mozza on the public speaking circuit. Like I said, Dan Andrews, got a mint of a pension, and then the clown from Western Australia gets his just massive superannuation, and then goes and gets jobs with mining companies, literally weeks after citing burnout for the reason why he had to resign. No one's ever been held accountable. We've never been told where all the secret information came from that led to people making all these draconian laws. And we're just supposed to accept it. And then maybe if we're lucky and you've received a fine here in Queensland, maybe if you're lucky, the government, they might drop the fine. But when it comes to New South Wales sending Queensland a bill, well, then they'll say, no, screw you, New South Wales. We do what we want, but the people will do what we say. Love it. Hey, this is all just my opinion. I'm just pointing out that maybe the government, maybe it doesn't really change that much, regardless of whether it's Labor or Liberal. They still seem to do whatever the hang they want and not consider what's actually best for the people. And maybe it's because we need to have a complete clean out with the bureaucrats who are inside the government, pushing agendas, making decisions. The people who are actually, behind the power. This is all my opinion. I'm Jay Fallon, and I'm not bitter at all. When I look back about the pandemic, not bitter at all. I'm Jay Fallon. Check out my music and the rest of my podcasts. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's going